Reading through this indictment, you as well have. I also want to bring up another recollection that I have, something I covered, which was in the opening weeks of his presidency or months of his presidency, when there was a nuclear alert involving North Korea. He was at Mar-a-Lago. He then convened a national security meeting, a rump meeting of the national security meeting on the patio, with documents showing what they had just received from the National Security Council about this missile that had been fired and the response that was being discussed while patrons were also dining at adjacent tables.
You know, Andrea, as we look through this indictment in great detail, it becomes even more apparent how unusual everything about what we're dealing with is. I think it's important that people understand that Donald Trump is not someone who earned his security clearance in the same ways that most federal employees earn their security clearance. He got a security clearance essentially because he's the president or the former president, whereas other people who actually have to go through the security clearances necessary in order to get access to this type of information have a deeper appreciation for it. His entire administration was littered with folks who had these sorts of issues. If you recall, Andrea, Jared Kushner at one point wasn't able to have access to certain documents because he himself could not pass a security clearance. Where I'm going with this is a pattern that we saw throughout his entire administration of being entirely cavalier with our nation's most important and precious secrets. And as we go through this indictment, it shows you just how deep and problematic this was to a criminal level, at a criminal level of criminal liability. In addition to the fact that not only was he cavalier with our secrets, he was willing to engage other people with respect to access that they should not have had with respect to the same documents in and of itself. So this is truly mind-blowing. It's an indictment of incredible detail. I'm still going through it, but as I'm going through it, I'm thinking about the convergence of so many different and unique elements that we have not seen all in one place.
So can I interrupt you for a second, because we have color photos. So instead of having to hold up these grainy black and white things, we talked about, Charles, there being lots of boxes on the stage, and there you see those boxes. And if you go through the document, you know, they talk about, we don't know if they're these ones, but documents concerning nuclear weaponry, timeline and details of a foreign attack, military capabilities of foreign countries, regional military activities of foreign countries, and it goes on. And there you see just boxes stored. And again, in many cases, at least according to this indictment, in places where unknown numbers of people
Chris, that was the White and Gold Ballroom. If you can go back one, let's just see that. That's the stage of the White and Gold Ballroom. And they say for how long those were out there while there were other events being staged in that very room. Charles, just look at that, and the storage room as well, as Chris was just pointing out.
It's unbelievable and shocking in a number of respects, both to you, Andrea, and Chris. If you think about it, I had said for a number of times that the actual contents of the documents did not matter when you were simply talking about, number one, obstruction, and then number two, his retention of items that he should not have had. What was in those documents and his possession, those two things didn't necessarily need to be at this level in order for Jack Smith to move forward with a prosecution. But when you look at the 7 counts and what's actually in the indictment, those are what they are because of what the contents are and because of what Jack Smith's office believes he intended to do with these things. That's why you have the additional counts on this indictment that you have. So it's not just a question of him attempting to obstruct a federal investigation in terms of obtaining these documents and getting them back. It's the actual content. And then, of course, as we are seeing over and over again with these now very colored, very detailed pictures, where they were housed, who had access to them, and the fact that he was entirely cavalier with our nation's most important secrets.
And Frank Figliuzzi, from a national security standpoint, what do you see when you see these boxes and how they were stored?
You know, it's what's not in the indictment that really